Can Peter Parker solve the dark secrets of an evil spell book and balance his love life all at the same time? Well, let's hop into the pages of Amazing Spider-Man Torn issue number 2 and find out together, shall we? So then this issue actually starts with a funny little prologue wherein we're introduced to a nice local bagel man in New York City who we soon discover actually services the superhero community, including the likes of Spider-Man. You know, you gotta know your crowd. They need to get in, get out. They don't want a lot of talk. They want their bagel with butter, sometimes with a little schmear in their coffee, and then they're off. And yes, the bagels are free for Spider-Man. Apparently he saved this guy not long ago, and now his money is no good there anymore. I know this story takes place in the past, but I love the idea that one of the main reasons Peter Parker hasn't starved to death while living in the famously expensive New York is because of the kindness of strangers. Now, in the last issue, as you'll recall, Spider-Man had stopped a robbery at his local college library. The thief had attempted to steal an old German book of spells, and in the process killed 2 innocent librarians before turning into a giant bat monster. You know, just an average day that ends in Y when you're Spider-Man. Pete had managed to keep the book out of enemy hands, but unfortunately he can't make heads or tails of it, what with him actually failing his current German class. If it was important enough to kill over, then surely it's important enough to understand, and because of that, Peter vows to take the book to Professor Dunkel for more information. Now back across town, we hook back up with Evangeline the thief. She tracks down the man who hired her originally, a mysterious, goofy little dude who loves his cat maybe a bit too much, and whose whole vibe certainly doesn't shout evil wizard or even just regular old crook. Meaning that whatever's going on here with the book, there's a lot more than meets the eye. Now, eventually Spider-Man does track down Professor Dunkel, but because this is Straczynski's Spider-Man, he just can't ask him for help right away. He needs to turn it into a whole bit by webbing a desk to the top of the ceiling. Why would he do that, you ask? Well, as Spider-Man so eloquently explains, I always wanted to be top of my class, nyah, nyah, nyah. Now, we had met Dunkel in the previous issue, and he seemed to be a pretty sour dude, certainly a little stereotypical when it comes to the average German, but I digress. He is, however, happy to help Spider-Man, who says that he was recommended by a friend. Obviously, Peter doesn't want to blow up his own spot and admit that he's a student, but in a fun twist, Dunkel is actually very intelligent, clocking right away that only a student would know that he comes to his class 20 minutes before start time. Furthermore, having a PhD in linguistics, he tells Spider-Man that despite him desperately trying to mask his voice by being all gruff, speech patterns are actually a lot like fingerprints, and even though he can't figure out who Spider-Man is, the longer they talk, there's probably a good chance that he could put it together, meaning that Spidey decides to leave. Now, another question you might be asking yourself, I know I certainly did 2 issues in, why is this book called Amazing Spider-Man Torn? What is that referencing? Well, apparently it's referencing Peter's love life at the moment as he feels torn between old flame Gwen Stacy and new hotness Mary Jane. It's gotten to the point that Mary Jane herself is actually getting a little upset with Pete's indecision. She basically takes a moment to tell him to either shit or get off the pot, stop living in 2 worlds, and stop dragging my heart around. If you're gonna kiss me like you mean it, dummy. Which is naturally exactly what Peter does next. Again, much like in the previous issue, I don't know if Straczynski is meaning to do this, but all of these scenes carry with them this real undercurrent of tragedy, like, oh, these 2 star-crossed lovers have no idea what's coming for them in the future. I'm talking lost children, clones, deals with the devil, guys named Paul. But, you know, those are all problems for another day. Now, what exactly is the deal with this book, and why did the collector want it so badly? Well, as he explains, the whole dark magic Necronomicon thing is actually a front. In reality, what the book is a secret collection of advanced science from a precursor race that drove the ancient scribes who first read it completely insane. Oh, okay, so in issue 1, I thought that they were just making a cute little Lovecraft reference, but no, literally the book is 100% talking about great old ones and Cthulhu and shit. If nothing else, this weirdo whose name we still haven't properly been given says that if Evangeline can steal the book back, then he will be able to cast a spell that will return her to normal. How's she gonna find the book, though? Oh, this is the best part. We learn Evangeline's soul is actually now tied into the book, a part of her imprinted on it, and vice versa, meaning that all she has to do to find it is just kind of follow her nose to the flavors of fruit. Well, damn, that was certainly convenient, wasn't it? Spider-Man picks the book up again from Dr. Dunkel, who tells him that he should basically burn the whole thing if he was smart. But Spidey still has hopes of avenging the 2 librarians that he wasn't quick enough to save, and because of that, he's going to hang on to it for a little longer. Even if that means taking it with him on his date with Mary Jane, as they both end up coming under attack by Evangeline Evangeline. In a nice bit of character work, MJ doesn't actually recoil in terror from this monstrous attack. She actually arms herself and fights back, which is always nice to see. In fact, the distraction offers Spider-Man just enough time to suit on up and rejoin the fight, looking to settle the score from the previous issue as the book comes to a close. And so that was Amazing Spider-Man Torn, issue number 2, everybody. Another perfectly enjoyable, occasionally quite engrossing Spider-Man story that doesn't really break any molds, but certainly offers up a fun flavor of Spider-Man story that we have been missing recently. It feels like everything in the main Amazing Spider-Man book has to be the biggest, most world-ending crisis ever. So to have a Peter story where the actual super Spidey side of things are actually a lot lower in stakes, and the personal day-to-day Peter life is actually given just as much, if not more, importance in the story is fun. I'm still not very convinced by these villains or anything, and I don't think this book is a must-read or that it's going to change your life, but you could certainly do a lot worse, and Lord knows this was a pretty dry, pretty uneventful week for me in the world of comic books. So I'm certainly not mad I came back for issue 2, even though I don't really have that much to say. Overall, I'd give this one a 7.5 out of 10. Pretty good. Hey there everyone, it's your pal Cape Joel again, and if you're seeing my face right now, that means you watched to the end of the video, and I'll always be grateful for that. Retention helps in this crazy YouTube game, and so does becoming a patron. If you head on down to the description, you can find a link to my Patreon page. Recently just redid all the tiers, a lot of cool stuff offering up there, exclusive commentaries, exclusive polls, behind the scenes concept art for Capes and Quest. That's the brand new D&D show I've started soon. Never been a better time to become a patron. You can become a patron for as little as $1 a month and help the channel grow and, help me continue to deliver content like what you just saw. So I want to thank you all, and I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.